Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. It's time for another statue review, and once again coming to us from Diamond Select as part of their Marvel Gallery PVC figure diorama series, we've got Carnage. Yes, good old Cletus Cassidy is joining us here today in PVC form. This is a statue that I remember seeing at Toy Fair, I think, for the first time in person, and just oohing and ahhing over it. And I'm very happy now to have it in my hands. So hopefully it holds up to what I saw a few months back versus in the pre-production form to what we have here in the final release version of it. So here's just a quick look at the front of the box here, which has the typical Diamond Select window in the front, as well as on each side. So you get a peek at it from as many corners as you want to see. It also has, of course, the ever-loving Diamond Select sunroof. We've got a Carnage logo here that's also pretty nice, but I don't think it's like the most recognizable Carnage logo. I feel like he's had different logos in the past that are a little bit more recognizable. As for the colors of the box here, it's got this very dark crimson, purple, and red here going on, and they're very, very dark shades, both those colors. Reason being, of course, is that if you put purple and red next to each other, they're radiant colors. They're gonna make your eyeballs explode and hurt a ton. So thankfully, by making these tones extremely dark, it's actually okay to look at and looks really nice. It's actually a good pair of colors here. Let's take a look now at the back of the packaging here, which has this big bio about Carnage. You know, we've been talking again how previously we saw a few months back, a lot of these figures didn't have the greatest bios, but now they've really improved on that. They've listened to the fans, and you can see that this is actually a very strong, very in-depth bio about Cletus Cassidy. At least as much as you have, at least as much as you can to fit onto the back of a sculpture package. The bio in particular more or less covers his time during the Maximum Carnage story arc, which is really when Carnage became as popular as he did in the first place. And the box also lets us know that this figure was designed by Caesar and sculpted by Alterton, which is a pair of creators who we've come to know and love with all these Marvel PVC figure statues. They've done some really great work, and I'm hoping that Carnage is just as good as everything else that they've worked on in the past. So, on that note, let's go ahead, take our symbiote out of the box, and take a look at Carnage from all angles. Alright, so here's our Carnage now loose out of the box, and it still remains just as impressive as it looked at Toy Fair. It's a very menacing, very evil looking Carnage too. Just here's a quick look at it. As you can see now, as we rotate the piece, you'll see just a lot of great details here. You know, I've always found that with Carnage figures in particular, there's like a right way and a wrong way to do him. And I feel like one of those wrong ways is basically treating it as like a flat color. And by that I mean not really adding textural details onto the symbiote. Let's say like the way that Venom was originally drawn when he first appeared, it was very much flat. Whereas later on it became much more textural. And in the case of Carnage, you can see on this figure in particular, he's got a lot more of like musculature going on. And when I say that, I really mean the literal form of musculature, like as in there's no skin on him. It is literally if you were to remove your skin from your body, which is really grotesque and really lovely to capture that here in this form. So you could use that phrase to say that. But yeah, all around, I mean, it's pretty grotesque looking now, and that's perfect. That's how it should be. It's got the black alien suit kind of going around, the red part of the suit as well, which is more the textural part of it, which I should add, you know, it feels really kind of weird to be touching this kind of thing, but yeah, they totally got that correct. That's the way it should be, and that's the way we all like our Carnages, to be gross and grimacing and grotesque. The face of Carnage here is also really nice too. You know, again, Carnage, he's not like Venom. He's not as big, he's not as enormous as that character. And part of the way of making him look slimmer as opposed to Venom is that his face has always been a little bit thinner as well as his entire body being thinner, of course. But in this case, I feel like he's more of like a carrion bird here, which is good. I like that actually. You can kind of see what I mean by that and how his jaw kind of like comes down to these points. It's almost a little bit beak-like. Almost a little bit, you know, at least that's how I'm reading it. But it's still very, very evil looking. And you know, more so when you see it from like this angle, you know, I think since there's no tongue coming out of him especially, that really makes me think more of like a bird's jaw rather than a human being's jaw. So one of my favorite toys growing up as a kid was actually from the Spider-Man cartoon line, where they had a Carnage figure and he had like different attachments you could put onto his hands. And this figure here kind of references that almost, because we've got on one hand his axe hand, and over here he's got longer claw fingers. And that really reminds me of that original action figure and why I loved it so much, because those attachments were just really great. I've always been a fan of the axe hand look, as well as the razor claw hand. So yeah, they got all the high points that I want from a Carnage statue just in that alone. You know, the pose is also very cool here, because he's basically on a pile of rocks here, wherever that may be, but it looks like he's basically perched on top of it, about to jump and lunge down at somebody below him, some poor unsuspecting victim. Although then again, this being Cletus Cassidy, they probably know he's coming, and Carnage just doesn't care. He's just gonna come straight at you. And what's even better is that it looks like he's just straight up monologuing right now. Like there's no tongue sticking out of his face, there's no saliva or anything like that. I think he's just in the middle of a sentence about basically warning someone that they're about to die, because that's what he does best. As for that base, since we're on that subject of it, the base is just a pile of rocks. You know, nothing really too interesting about that. What is nice about it though is that it is this very simple gray color here. And you know, the rocks do look good, but rocks are just rocks. Not really a lot to say about them. But the fact of the matter is that with this really kind of tame gray color here, it makes the reds and especially the blacks in this really pop out even more. So that's actually, I think, a very good choice of where to put them at. As, you know, we get that really dark tone underneath them that helps the red and everything else pop up a lot more. One of the other things I really enjoy about this piece is all of the little bits of symbiont that's just kind of like popping out on his legs, his arms, on his back, even on his head. You know, it is a living costume after all, so maybe part of the story is that he's just basically put on that symbiote moments ago as he's about to kill whoever it is he's about to do the deed to. And these are all separate pieces that were glued into him, I believe, because yeah, that would be really difficult to do that otherwise, make a mold out of that. But I think that's really, really cool. I really love these pieces here. You know, they did a Venom not that long ago either that had similar thing going on, where Eddie Brock was actually in mid-transformation, so it reminds me a lot about that. And you know, I don't think those two pieces necessarily go together as a perfect match, but I could see them easily doing that with, you know, this type of storytelling being told. It would look pretty good as a pair together. Just as a whole, this is a really good looking piece. This is a very cool Carnage. You've got some solid anatomy, a great looking pose, good simple color choices. You know, nothing needs to be too crazy, but they kept it down, as they typically do with these pieces, to the most important colors, the most prioritized colors, which really here is the red, the black, and the gray tone. And of course the white in his eyes, which pop even more when they're surrounded by that black and that crimson bloody color. For any Carnage fans out there, I mean, I think this is a very, very strong piece that's absolutely worth adding to your collection. I don't really have anything to complain about. I mean, the paint job itself is also extremely clean. I don't really see any nitpicks that are worth mentioning. There might be like one little black line that's a little bit off or something, but I don't really see any smudges. It's overall an extremely clean paint job, a very detailed sculpt. Again, loving all the little symbiont bits just floating out of his head and his arms and everything else. It's got those nice little throwbacks to his action figure from the 90s. I really see nothing wrong with this in any way. I'm sure there's gonna be some folks out there who are watching this who have probably seen some things that I don't know. Maybe it's something that's not as comic book accurate. But for my money, this is the Carnage worth getting. And this is a $50 statue in most cases. So for 50 bucks, this is a real great piece to add. And there is, I think, a Spider-Man that's also just come out along with that Venom that basically you get the three together and you've got your maximum Carnage right there. And to be honest, that's really my best recommendation is if you are gonna get this Carnage, I would really consider that Venom that also just came out recently, as well as a good Spider-Man statue, so you have the trio together. I think they're a great bunch of pieces together. Hopefully I'll get my hands on that Venom and on Spider-Man at some point too. But as for this Carnage solo right now, yeah, you really can't beat this piece. It hits every single high point I want as a collector and as a comic book lover. I think it's gonna do the same for you. If you'd like to order this Carnage statue for yourself, you can pick them up from Diamond Select's official website, or please consider using our Amazon affiliate links in the description below, which costs you guys nothing extra but helps us out a ton. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to our channel to see more statue reviews and everything else that we do here on Nerd News Today. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you give us a thumbs up if you like Carnage? So that is our look at Diamond Select's Marvel Gallery PVC figure diorama of Carnage. I could keep raving about this all day, but really I'm gonna keep the raving stuff to the raving lunatic that's right in front of the camera right now, as opposed to the raving lunatic behind it holding it. So until next time, I'm Matthew from Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching this video, be safe, and if you ever find a random symbiote floating around your house, stay away from it. See you guys next time.